Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Margaret, and today's video we'll be covering some of the questions that I've been getting from the comment section of my videos on YouTube. So I've chosen a few that I think are pertinent and are actually good to know to start the new year right. So let's get started with some of the questions here. Okay. First question that we have here, or first topic that I want to touch here, is all about the lunar calendar and the solar calendar, the Xia calendar. And this is because our astrological signs and Feng Shui use one of this calendar. Okay, so what we normally see out there when New Year arrives every year, we see those traditional Chinese calendar. I have one right here, and I don't know if you could see it very well, but anyway, so it's something similar to this, and how do you call this? And it's usually kind of it looks like the Gregorian calendar, but on the bottom of all these numbers, you will always see the Chinese characters, and one of them, especially in February, you will see on February 4, like in this case, I don't know if you can see, you will actually see the Li Chun, or February 4 right there. Okay, so you will see the Li Chun words in that calendar. But anyway, so just a little bit of background on the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar follows the moon cycle, and this is what the traditional celebration of Chinese New Year, and this is when the traditional Chinese New Year begins. Now, the solar calendar follows the cycle of the sun. So traditional Chinese calendar divides a year into 24 solar terms. Li Chun is the first solar term. So it begins when the sun reaches the celestial longitude of 315 degrees and ends when it reaches the longitude of 330 degrees. So now, some of you who are not familiar with the Chinese calendar and how it's used will automatically assume that anyone who is born on that day, let's say a baby is born on January 29 or something like that, this year, 2023. So a lot of you might assume that just because, January 1st is supposedly the new year, this child is now born in the year of the water rabbit, which is 2023. But, that is actually not the case. It's, it's not, you don't automatically assume that anyone who is born on that, the month, especially the month of January and February, will belong to that particular animal sign for that year. Okay, so let's go back to that baby who was born January 29, 2023. That baby is actually born in the year of the tiger. Why? Because the year of the water rabbit doesn't occur until February 4 of 2023 at around 10:44 or 10:47 a.m. around approximately around that time. So any baby born before that is actually still a tiger, and it's only after when you're born on February 4 and at 10:44 and after that you're considered being born in the year of the rabbit. Okay, so usually this happens for those of you who are born in the month of January or February. It's very seldom that it will happen in the month of January. Usually when you're born between February 3, 4, 5, around that time, then it can be a little bit problematic, because then you have to really look at the Li Chun and that will be based on the solar calendar. Okay. And what else do we need to? So the astrological signs that we actually have follows the solar calendar. And by the way, Feng Shui also follows the solar calendar. Okay. Okay, so let's get on to another, to one of the questions that we got. And the question here is, should one look at monthly or yearly chart, and when is it best to make changes? Is it according to month or yearly? The monthly and yearly charts not only give you an idea of each energy sectors of your home, but they are used to help you with your challenges, and goals. Either they are long term or they're short term. Okay, so let's say you're you're using you're not feeling 100%. Okay, for the last few months, and so you want to make the most of the energies in the house that will support you and make you feel a bit better. So you will actually use or look at the monthly chart to help you find or select the best sector for your bedroom, and with the good energies, while you're actually trying to get well, or let's say you're recuperating from an illness, or let's say after you've had surgery and you want to recuperate. So the monthly Flying Star Feng Shui chart can help you with that goal that you want. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't know if you've seen some of my other videos, but there are more than just the monthly and yearly energy. Okay, I will just show you briefly what I mean here. So you can see here there's 3 charts on the screen right now. You have the natal chart, or the permanent energies, the annual chart, or the yearly energies, and the monthly chart, which is the monthly energies. So each of these charts look different from each other, right? You will see with the natal chart, which means this is the permanent energy of your house, It doesn't change. Okay, this is the energies of your house based on the move-in date, and based on the move-in date and the direction, the facing direction, the location of the house. Okay, then you will see the annual chart here, the yearly energies, which actually every house will have this energy. When the year changes, the year's energy comes, every house will have, let's say, based on this annual chart that you see on the screen, every house will have the number 5 in the center, the number 2 in the southwest, the number 8 in the northeast, okay, and etc. So that annual chart is the same for all the houses, that annual chart, okay, the yearly chart. Then you can see also a monthly chart, which means that the energies of the month has changed. Not only will the year have its own energy, then the month will also have its own energy. So that will change too. As you can see, there's 2 numbers in this particular chart. So one will be for the yearly energy, and the other number will actually pertain to the monthly energy. But going back to the natal chart, the permanent energies, you see 3 numbers. So when you want to use, when do you use this chart? It can be really, really confusing. But usually the permanent energies, once you find them and once you know which area are problematic and you remedy them, that's it, and that is also for long-term goals. Okay, so the permanent energies is usually used for long-term goals, and then the annual and then the monthly is a little bit more for short-term goals. So it can get a little bit confusing if you want to put all these things together. So it's best to, if you have your house analyzed, then you know where your permanent energy. So just do that and just let that be. then, as the year and the monthly change, it depends on your circumstances. And then you actually, if you have any challenges that you want to resolve, then look at the monthly and the annual charts, okay? So I hope after explaining this, I don't get you, getting you a little bit even more confused. I hope not, okay? So now, it just shows you that these are important charts that you have to remember, okay? Now let's get on to another question here. I have my wealth sector items placed in the southeast for this year. Is that the correct place? Some are saying that the south is the wealth sector this year. So I have my fountain, Buddha, and plants in that particular corner. So we're looking at the directions of the wealth sector here. Now, in classical Feng Shui, the number 8 wealth star flies to the south in 2023. So let's say we're looking at this year, which is the year 2023. So the flying star number 8 flies, this is based on the solar, flies to the south this year. Let me show you. Okay. So is the wealth sector, I guess the question is the wealth sector in the southeast or south this year. Now, if we're practicing classical Feng Shui, the wealth sector is actually in the south sector this year, okay? So as you can see, I can show you. So that's the south sector, and that's the, you can see the wealth star, number 8 is in the south, okay? So this is the flying star Feng Shui chart for the year of the water rabbit this year. Now, depending on what you're practicing, if you're practicing a classical or traditional Feng Shui, this is the chart that you're going to be looking at. You can get confused if you're actually practicing the modern or the Western or the pop Feng Shui or what, the black hat sect Feng Shui, because they use this particular map, or what they call a Bagua Map, to determine the wealth sector or the different sectors and the different, what they call life aspirations. So this is quite popular in North America for the last 2 decades, and it includes some sort of form, principles. It used a bit of the compass school, but it builds a lot on the chi energy, the balancing of yin and yang, and religion and intuition. So its approach is more on an art form, using objects to create and enhance the chi energy. So this is what they're gonna be following. And from this chart that you see here, as you can see, this basically similar this chart here, okay, you will see that the wealth and prosperity sector is actually in the southeast. And if you're using this chart or map, if you're using this Bagua Map, we don't have a Bagua Map per se in traditional Chinese, traditional classical Feng Shui. But if you are following this Bagua Map, then it doesn't matter which year you're looking at, because your wealth sector is always going to be in the southeast, okay? Because it doesn't change. So if you superimpose this onto a house, and it's going to be always the wealth sector that's going to be the southeast. And I think there's, I'm not really sure because I don't practice this Feng Shui. There's something to do with the main door being aligned to the north. As we all know, not all houses have their main doors in the north. So it's a little bit, I don't know. I'm not sure that it's really, logical in some ways. But anyway, so I'm just saying that if you're using this Bagua Map, then of course the southeast sector will be your wealth and prosperity sector. But if you're using the classical Feng Shui, the flying stars Feng Shui, actually, you will know that these numbers here, all these numbers here, will fly to different sectors. Depending, each year they will go to different sector each year. It will change it will change directions and sectors each year. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm referring to. So for 2023, the wealth sector, based on classical Feng Shui, flying stars Feng Shui, is actually in the south sector. Okay. Now, somebody was asking if the effect of energy in P9, will it be good or bad, or how, what does it mean to be sensitive, affected? Well, it depends on how, now that you know now that you know that if you, let's say, if you have fire as your day master, either you're yang fire or a yin fire, and let's say you have the number 9 as your qua number, you know that you will be affected a little bit more when P9 comes, period 9 comes. Okay, now whether it's good or bad, it depends on how, now that you're aware of it, then it depends on how prepared you are. Okay, because the change, the energies will either, be a little bit more challenging. But if you are looking for some sort of challenges and you're aware and you're prepared, then it can be good for you. Okay, but if you know that you already have a number 9 qua, you already have a yang fire or a yin fire in your BAZI chart, you know that you're going to be a little bit more sensitive to this changes that's coming in 2024, and yet you don't want the change, and you actually not keen about it, then of course for you would think that it's bad, it's not right. So I guess it depends on your perception of things. You know that there's going to be changes, you know that you're going to be more sensitive to the energies coming in based on your BAZI chart, and so it depends on how prepared you are, how willing you are to accept any of these changes. Okay, so whether it's good or bad, I guess it depends on the individual. Okay, and how you perceive the changes. And it might be challenging, but if you're up to it, and if you want the challenge so that you can actually go on the next, especially in your career, you want to go the next level up, then you would deem it as something good, right? Okay, so anyway, let's get on to the next question. What about the 3 killings and year breaker in the West this year of the water rabbit? Is it true to avoid this sector because of this reason? I don't think you need to avoid the West sector this year just because the 3 killings is and the 3 pole year breaker is in that particular sector, especially if you don't have a big house and you need every room, so it's probably not practical to not use one whole room just because it has some negative energies, just because the 3 killings and 3 poor, the year breakers in that particular sector. What you have to be mindful of and to remember, and which is important, is that you do not trigger the negative energies of the 3 killings and the 3 poor. Okay, so no digging, no major renovation, no pounding, no loud music. You can use the area, just be just be quiet, no loud activity in that particular area. And if you don't have to use it that often, then don't. Now that particular area is also a rooster, so if you're a rooster and you have the ability to actually move to another room to use. Either you've been using this as a bedroom, or if you've been using the west as an office, then, you know, if you do have other sectors or other rooms that you can use, that maybe you might want to just move to this other rooms temporarily for the year. You know, the other thing that I would actually suggest, especially for 3 killings, and that is if you're using this particular room, or even if you're not using this particular room, I mean the west sector, that you have to actually try to try to confront the 3 killings, which means try to position your desk so that you face the 3 killings and have the Grand Duke as a support. So the Grand Duke will be in the east, so you're back to the east, and you're facing west. Now, this is one position that you can take. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to confront the 3 killings or whatever. It's just that, you know, if you're positioning your desk, or if you're sitting at a desk, if you have an office and you're sitting long time, a long period of time, especially let's say you're working on the computer or whatever, if you're sitting in that position for a long time, make sure that you're not sitting with your back towards the 3 killings. Okay, so it can be in any room of the house, just as long as when you're sitting down doing work, or, you know, you don't sit long term with your back to the 3 killings. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Now, if you guys have any other questions while I'm, you know, when you're listening to my video, please write down on the comment section so I can actually answer them, or select the questions for my next Q&A. This is my first Q&A for the year 2023. So hopefully I'll be making more, and I hope also to be able to do live stream. I'm not technically savvy, so please bear with me on that. I would like to do it when I don't need to have tech assistance right now, but okay. So anyway, I hope that clears up the question on the 3 killings and the year breaker, or the 3 po. Let's go on to another question. Here is, I think I got a photograph. Sometimes you guys send me photos, so, you know, if the photos are good enough for me to give you know, sort of an analysis, I will try, but it's not a complete or an accurate analysis of the room or whatever placement that you are asking me about. So let's say I think this was one of the questions with regard a bed placement, and I think from the angle of the photograph that it was taken from the door, and I just think I think that how you call this, I think the person was taking the photograph from here, and I saw the bed. Okay, sorry, I saw it's not straight. Okay, I can't do a straight line, so I saw the bed this way. So this is not an ideal position, because the energies that's coming from the door is actually hitting the person who's sleeping right here directly. Okay, so if you can move the bed over to this section with your head towards that direction. Okay, now this is talking about the form position of the, you know, of the room. Okay, I did a video about form versus formula, and so this is you know, like in terms of form wise, this is a better positioning of your bed. Okay, so move your bed with your head towards this direction. Okay, because here it's not really that great. The energy is actually just, you know, will disturb your sleep, and you don't want that. You want to have a good night sleep, a good night rest. Similarly, on the next picture here, you see a bed that's actually between 2 doors, and this is also not ideal, and the bedroom door should never be positioned in a straight line with the door, let's say, to another toilet or bathroom. So the bed that's in this path is is actually in the path of the cutting chi energy from these two opposing doors, and it's really not a great idea, and it will actually disturb the quality of your sleep here. Okay, and I hope this is clear. Anyway, let's get going to the next question. I think I have here. Okay, I think this is a question that we've been getting, and I think I'm sure other feng shui practitioners have also been getting these questions. And a lot of times this is something that maybe newbies, to feng shui, or people, amateur feng shui practitioners will actually argue the fact that this is what we should do. So the question here is, should we flip the feng shui chart for the southern hemisphere so that the wealth position is in the north instead of being in the south in 2023? Granted that we're referring to somebody who's, let's say, people that are living in Australia or people living in New York or something like that. Okay, so no, it's the biggest mistake an amateur feng shui practitioner can make. So there's quite a few that think, out there that thinks the climate is the factor, because if it's winter in North America, in New York, it's actually summer in Australia. So, and when it's winter in Australia, it's summer in Canada or Toronto or New York, US. Okay, so winter time is different for this country, but it doesn't mean that you flip the chart, the Lo Shu chart, the planet, and just because the climate is different, because we don't take climate as a factor, in feng shui. The planet is moving forward, and we base it on the movement of the planet and not the climate changes. So again, feng shui is not based on climate, but based on the planetary positions and the orbiting of the planets, right? So you don't flip the Lo Shu chart, you don't flip the planet. There's no flipping our chart, and there's only one Lo Shu chart that we're using. Again, so wherever you are, if you're in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere, the compass north is north and the compass south is south. Okay, so we're using the compass direction. Okay, so if you're practicing classical or traditional feng shui, this is how we determine a property's direction and location. Okay, so hopefully that's clear out of the way, so that when you start 2023, at least you have all the correct formula. You have the facts, and so that when you're doing all this, mapping out your direction, drawing your floor plan, and all this other thing, when you're aligning your bed placement, or when you're trying to determine where your wealth sector is, then at least you get it right. By the way, I myself don't use a lot of the objects that like the Buddha and the Bagua, or the lion, tiger, or whatever. So I guess, culture, these are some of the cultural objects or displays or figurines that the Chinese use in their homes, and a lot of times it's actually more of a celebratory symbols to celebrate, let's say, the coming in of New Year. So for some reason or another, it's been integrated into feng shui, and to the point that it's been it's more like a commercialized thingy now. But this has got nothing to do with Feng Shui. It's got more to do with the traditional practices, the cultural practices of the Chinese people when they celebrate, let's say, New Year, and or weddings and that type of thing. And red, of course, is predominantly used as a color, but it doesn't mean that they're attached to the Feng Shui aspect. There's really no Feng Shui aspect. And anyway, so I hope that this has cleared up some of the questions that you guys have in mind. And, I will be coming out with more videos. So I hope, you like, if you actually enjoy this video and you think you've actually gained some tips and insight, please like my video, and also please subscribe so that you'll get a notification of my future videos. Okay, so thank you for watching.